Evening, folks. We're going to be one member down this evening. The only thing I am of liberty to say is that Madam President is under the weather. That is all I will say at this specific moment in time, because I think she'd appreciate it more by just saying she's not well, and we'll leave it at that. Hi to Sean Retro.
IRL.
Yeah. Let's see. Now we're going to be going through some topics that I didn't really get the chance to do. What was it? Yeah, last week, because, well, sometimes the topics run longer than I would care to mention, so it's just how it is. And we shall start off this topic with a nice load of ham. Renfield preview pays homage to Universal's classic Dracula. And of course, as we all know, Nicolas Cage is playing Dracula.
Yes.
Oh god, there's even a look at him, even in that thumbnail for that trailer. It's just like, oh, he's gonna ham his way through this.
I've seen it. He does.
Universal Pictures has released a new TV spot for the upcoming Renfield, and it's paying homage to the classic Dracula. The new spot, which you can see for yourself, opens in black and white with Nicolas Cage's Dracula in a flashback of sorts, meeting Nicholas Holt's Renfield for the first time. The sequence calls back to the original 1931 Universal monster film Dracula, which starred Bela Lugosi as the titular vampire. In the film, Renfield has grown sick and tired of his centuries as Dracula's lackey. Oh, so Renfield has actually been kept alive that long. Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The henchman finds a new lease on life and maybe even redemption when he falls for feisty, perennially angry traffic cop Rebecca Quincy. Oh, so it's going to be set in the modern age. Right, I get it.
Yep.
I want to pop in a unique way from how we've seen it played. Cage shared about the appeal of the film. So I'm thinking to really focus on the movement of the character. I saw Malignant, and I thought what she did with those movies, and even Ringu with Sadako. I want to look at what we can explore with his movement and voice. Additionally, the quirky nature of the concept allows Cage to embrace his comedic side. Oh, sweet lord. It's going to be one of those... You're afraid to look at it, but at the same time, you just can't look away. What makes it super fun is that it's a comedy, and you get that tone right. Comedy and horror, like American Werewolf in London. It's a blast. It's got to be a bullseye. I would have said American Werewolf in London was more horror than comedic. I mean,
yeah, especially what happens in specific parts of the film. It gets pretty
graphic.
Yes,
especially that transformation scene. I mean, oof.
That's nightmare fuel.
I mean, even shut up, watch. Even to this day, I've not gone back to that movie too often. But to be fair to John Landis, who directed that, he knows how to do horror. I mean, considering he also directed the music video for Michael Jackson's Thriller. Nicolas Cage confirms his Dracula doesn't have much screen time in Renfield. Interesting. Well, first of all, I don't know, how you say no to Dracula, but two things come to mind. One, he's a character that's done well many times and then done poorly many times. So you want to be on the side of doing something well, and also you want to be on the side of doing something fresh and something that pops. To me, because the movie's not really about me. Dracula, rather, I don't have a lot of screen time. It's really Nicholas Holt's movie, and it's all about Renfield. I didn't have the time, like the 2 hours narrative, to really dig deep into Dracula's pathos per se. It's not that, but I did have enough screen time to be able to try to develop a pop art style to the character that hopefully will be a nice contribution to the other performers that have done it, that have had their take on this legendary character, both literature and cinema. And he's hoping to play his Dracula again. Oh, good lord. you know you're having a good time if you're getting into the ham of it. And, it's Nicolas Cage, He is ham, therefore he is. I'm going to have to check out that TV spot later, because it's going to be one of those... Okay.
I have seen the trailer, and because it's currently advertising at the moment, and it's quite an interesting take on the Dracula formula.
Okay. What do you make, Raiden?
Honestly, if anything, just Nicolas Cage just going balls out crazy, being Dracula is just enough for me to watch the film. Like, I don't know, man. Just like with him, his resurgence is doing crazy movies like that Mandy, that crazy ass that's an acid trip, and that like Five Nights at Freddy's like movie when he was just a mute.
Damn.
Also, I think, what was it? There's also that one movie where you're trying to find his truffle pig.
All right.
I forgot the name. I forgot the name of it though.
I think I vaguely know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name either.
Yeah, but yeah, I think he knows his audience, and with this one, you already know he's going to kill it. So with this one, I personally can't wait. With the modern take, I think we need to be happy because a lot of the times, especially like in the 90s, you get those old period pieces, and I feel like with this era, you gotta up the ante while just keeping things classic. So I dig it.
Alrighty. Next one. This is again one that I would have done last week, but sometimes things run long. The Flintstones sequel series Bedrock announces the vocal cast.
Oh.
The sequel series Bedrock has announced its cast. On Friday, the animated series landed a pilot presentation at Fox 2 years after it was announced that it was in development, and it was revealed that Stephen Root, Amy Sedaris, Nicole Byer, Joe Lo Trugolo, and Manny Jacinto are joining executive producer and star Elizabeth Banks as the voices on the series. Bedrock is set following the iconic animated series some 20 years after the Flintstones series. Oh boy. Excuse me. According to Deadline, Root plays Fred, Sedaris plays Wilma, Byra plays Betty, Trigolo plays Barney, and Jacinto plays Bam Bam, and Banks plays Pebbles. Huh. Interesting. The series, which is described as a primetime adult series... Oh, we're going there with this.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring the Future Funk down one more bar or two, because I do feel it's coming across as a bit loud. That's better. We'll see Fred on the brink of retirement, while Pebbles, now 20-something, is trying to start her own career as the Stone Age gives way to the Bronze Age, and the citizens of Bedrock find the change difficult. The series is being produced by Warner Bros. Animation and Fox Entertainment. I thought the only things that were still of of Fox that didn't go over to Disney was Fox News and Fox Sports. Is there something that they're not telling us? I don't know. Banks is executive producing alongside Max Handelman via Brownstone Productions. Lindsay Kearns will write and co-executive produce. Lon Zimmet also writes and executive produce. The series will be just the latest animated project on Fox, which has Krapopolis, The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Bob's Burgers. Okay. Long before The Simpsons and Springfield, the Griffins and Quahog, or even the Belkers started serving burgers on Ocean Avenue, there were the Flintstones and Bedrock. Michael Thorne, president Entertainment Fox Entertainment, said when the series was first announced in 2021, their imprint on the animation universe is undeniable, and the idea of adapting it for today's audience is a challenge we here at Fox are very much looking forward to taking on with Warner Brothers, Elizabeth and Lindsay. No pressure whatsoever, really. And of course, most of these can all be traced back to the Honeymooners, which is what the Flintstones is loosely based on. The Flintstones are the first family of primetime animation. Peter Girardi, Executive Vice President, Alternate Programming at Warner Brothers Animation. Elizabeth and Lindsay have a brilliant take on these characters, and Fox and Brownstone are the perfect partners to bring them back to primetime. This is going to rock. Sorry. Keep checking with comicbook.com for more news on the Flintstones sequel series Bedrock. What to take away from this? Okay. I think when you bring back any iconic series or any iconic property that's laid dormant for the longest amount of time, and I think they actually tried doing like a future scenario of the Flintstones once before, but it was very short-lived, where you'd see like a teenage Bam Bam and teenage Pebbles, and for whatever reason they gave references to different Strokes in one episode, which I'm like, okay, that's maybe like thousands of years from your future at the time, so it's like, okay, I'm not going to try to make sense of this. I don't know. The thing we know they're going to do this way before they even start. They're going to bring modern politics into the Stone Age and giving way to the Bronze Age. So that means, whatever dinosaur or caveman or Ice Age aesthetics, those will be slowly phased out and what have you. So, I mean, Elizabeth Banks is probably more than capable of being a good voice actress. I mean, we know she can project well, but with regards to the other cast members, you have some big shoes to fill, because Fred Flintstone is one of those iconic voices that's not easy to do. It's in the same vein of whether it's Popeye, Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin. It gets me that there's actually somebody who actually looks like him and sounds like him as well. That's scary.
He usually does that at Comic-Cons for the most part.
I've seen that. I don't know. I'd have to see either a trailer or at least like a slightly extended preview where we just get the look of the animation, the style of the projection the characters are going for. And it's when it says adult prime time, I'm hoping it's not going to be like Family Guy style of adult humor, because I think with the Flintstones you need to keep it, say, adult but not adult. It's one of those sort of things like you read between the lines where it's like those sort of subtle wink moments, like in Cars. Like, and I've said this example before, is where Lightning McQueen goes, "Doc Hudson was a former racer. He's got 3 piston cups in his office. He's done what in his cup?" And it's just like, the adults get it, the kids are like, "Huh?" So if you do things like where, of course, but I always come back to this example from Ghostbusters. That's the bedroom, but nothing ever happened in there. What a crime. 8 years old. 18. Oh. And of course, Venkman. Love you, dude, but you did some messed up stuff in that movie. I'm gonna just leave that there.
It was a different time.
It was, but still, when you look at it through a lens now, you're like, it's like, Vank, really, my dude. So, I don't know. I'm hoping animation-wise, it's going to be like, how do I word this? It's a faithful, it's a faithful nod, but it's not trying to evolve it too much. If anything, do what they've done with the most recent anime that features Lum, where, yes, it's updated the animation, but it stayed very faithful to where it came from the original. Oh, and according to Dan, High Dive has slowly started dubbing it, and I'm like, right, I know what I'm watching later. Because the new updated anime, it's just as bat crap crazy as the original. That's what I love about it. So Stephen, thoughts, and like me, are you a little bit skeptical?
The thing is, they did a lot. After the main series of the Flintstones ended up ending, they did multiple. The franchise did multiple spin-off stuff. Any with the kids in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and then a series of TV specials during the 90s where Pebbles and Bam Bam actually got married and had kids. So part of me wonders, will they be following on from that continuity, or will it just be sort of a sort of reboot or such? It just feels like the franchise has been more or less left in the dirt that not many people are going to recognize what it is. And it's just, and with the wording with a prime time adult series, I'm just thinking, are we going to end up with another attempt at another Family Guy show? Because I've gotten to the point now where I literally can't stand Family Guy.
I think Family Guy was at its best where it pushed the envelope, but it knew when to back off. And the thing I'm concerned with, are we going to get like Fred Flintstone being essentially a Stone Age Peter Griffin with unnecessary, inappropriate wording and unnecessary swearing as well? Because I don't need to hear Fred Flintstone dropping F-bombs.
It's more of a case of Peter Griffin is pretty much does whatever he wants, and he's pretty much played for an idiot 100% of the time. And especially, and I keep going back to this, his treatment of Meg. It's not funny. It has never been funny. And if he was caught doing that in real life, he'd be fucking arrested. Sorry.
Whoa.
Sorry. I'm sorry. But it just every time I think about it, it just gets me riled up like that.
What gets you mad again? Sorry, I kind of blacked out.
Family Guy, Peter Griffin, and the treatment of Meg.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's gotten
yeah,
old now.
that gets old every now and then.
And I'm surprised nobody's actually called Family Guy out on that.
Especially the way they
There was
have.
that there was that episode where Matt calls all of that, but that shit got swept under the rug after that episode.
Yeah, but for all the things that people complain about, nobody's nobody's decided to take that issue up with um, Seth MacFarlane.
The one that gets me is that when they did the first Star Wars special, and everyone else is playing like a reference to iconic characters. So Chris is being Luke, Quagmire's being C-3PO, Stewie's being Vader, which I'm like, oh gee, who didn't see that coming? Peter is Han Solo, Lois is Princess Leia, and what is Meg? That creature that's swimming around in the liquid in the trash compactor scene. I'm like, oh, screw you, dude. I got nothing. Literally and figuratively got nothing.
I mean, going back to the Flintstones, the only thing I can think of that they have been reasonably recognizable in is a crossover a couple of years ago with WWE.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, that happens. John
Then
Cena
again-
Stone.
And then again, they did. WWE were doing a lot of animated crossovers. They did two with Scooby Doo, and another one with the Jetsons, along with the Flintstones one. So there's that.
Yeah, and you had a WWE movie where The Miz looked like, the animated version of Bruce Wayne. I'm like, wait, what? The difference between The Miz and Bruce Wayne is Bruce actually has some semblance of credibility. And they really watered down Triple H's slogan where he have like this automated sign goes, WWE City, because it's just that good. It's like, really? You can't say damn in a PG movie? Like, and the way they kept having, John Cena as Super Gary Stu, like, he jumps in to save Daphne, and then you hear his Titantron music go off, like he's lifting a huge boulder over his head. I'm like, oh yeah, they're playing him up to be Superman. And apparently WWE City has its own state laws. I'm like, what? I don't get it. I don't want to get it. And of course, what was it?
It's animated.
Of course, in the second movie, they have Triple H as the masked villain. I'm just like, wow. And apparently,
They made him a heel.
yeah, sure, why not? And of course, what was it? You have Taker saying he likes to dabble in his time with shadow puppetry, and I'm like, Taker, is there something you want to tell us? It's like, okay, I didn't really need to know this. Then it was, like I say, the one they did with the Jetsons, and I'm like, I could see what they were trying to do, but I sat through the first movie because I thought, you know what, it was 2014, I was curious, I thought, give this a look, and I'm like, okay, this is mildly entertaining, and I heard...
Yeah, I kind of like that one, especially where Scooby and Shaggy called out Fred, Daphne, and Velma for all the shit they made him do when to chase that said monster. I love that. That was some good. That was funny as hell.
And also, there was just lampshading what we'd all been thinking for decades. And the fact that Scooby and Shaggy are wrestling marks as well. It's like, yeah, I could see them doing this. And apparently Cena understands fluent luchador silent body language from Sin Cara. I'm like, this can't be the real Sin Cara. He's not botching.
Mm,
Well, because it was played by the original guy who was Sin Cara before it ended up being Hunico. Because the original Sin Cara ended up walking out and they just had Hunico take over.
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with OG Sin Cara. They thought they could they thought they could make a big star out of him, but this was you gotta understand, this was before the performance center was a thing, and yeah, also with the lights and all that, that wasn't really helping out, you know. I don't know, man. For me, it's just like when it comes to WWE, I definitely listen to a lot of podcasts and how like there were years that I liked this, years that I don't like, you know. And you look back at it, and especially with all the dirty stuff Vince has done. You look at it more differently when you used to be a big fan of it.
Yeah. And this is also the same guy that said, oh, you know, he purposely buried Dolph Ziggler, and the late Pat Patterson really pushed for Dolph to be a main eventer, and then Vince purposely books him to lose all of his matches whilst he's champion. He goes, see, told you I was right. And I'm like, you're a moron.
And there was that time then, I think that at that time Pat Patterson kind of did pass away, I think. Yeah, he did pass away. And then during like the Thunderdome era, it has a new IC title because Vince was too cheap to pay the original creator of it. So we got that good looking title, but very bland looking without any colors. So there's that.
Well, I'm hoping if Cody does win the Undisputed title at Mania, which the way they're booking it would suggest that they are leading towards that, I'm hoping he'll do for the Undisputed title what he did for the Intercontinental Championship, because we know Cody's old school.
Yeah.
Incidentally, Raiden, what do you make of the article with the fact they're not only bringing the Flintstones back, but it's like 20 years later and it's supposed to be billed as an adult primetime animated series?
Honestly, I think I'm just gonna hit a mulligan with this one. I'll be short and sweet with this one. It's like, I don't know. The thing is with nostalgia, it can work well, but it can just suck. So with this one, I think it's gonna do well, but I feel like it's just gonna get old with the jokes and all that. And one of the people that Stephen Root, I know he was one of the people that worked on Robot Chicken, so that I might be entertained by that. But honestly, I'll wait for actual, like, you know, just footage of it that is just like, you know, planning and all that jazz.
All right.
That's all.
James Gunn says he's revealing new DC Studio slate with Superman, Swamp Thing, and a lot more. Oh, let's take a quick look at this article, because this could be worth a look. And when was this date? Oh, this is actually dated almost 2 months ago, in which case let's ignore that, because, you know, we know if that's what it's leading in with. Let's see. Actually, yeah, this could be worth a gander, and let's see. Yeah, go to the Dragon Ball Z robotics expert builds real life scouters.
Really?
What does it say about that power level?
Don't you dare. We've long passed the days of power levels that were prevalent in the Saiyan Saga and Frieza Saga and DBZ. I mean, if we're going by when they were originally done by TV Tokyo, let's see. the Saiyan saga and the Frieza saga, that has to be very late 80s, early 90s, especially based on the style of the animation at the time. With characters certainly now having power levels in the billions, if not trillions, the technological marvels known as Scouters would explode upon attempting to catalog Goku, Vegeta, and the other Z fighters' strength. Despite this, a real-life robotics expert has taken the opportunity to create real-life Scouters. Through the technological marvels might not be what you think when it comes to their applications in our world. With DBZ Budokai
Tenkaichi.
Thank you, 4 on the horizon, I'm amazed they're still referring to it as DBZ when it's moved on to DBS since then. The highly anticipated game might give fans a return of Scouters, especially if the entry in the series retells the original Saiyan and Frieza sagas, as Goku and Vegeta have gained mastery of Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, respectively. No clues needed who got the latter. While Gohan and Piccolo are catching up thanks to their new transformations in Dragon Ball Super. Superhero Scouters are definitely a thing of the past at this point. Dragon Ball Super's television series has yet to confirm a comeback, but a new Dragon Ball movie has been hinted at behind-the-scenes creators, though again, Scouters most likely won't be making an appearance unless via flashback. Dragon Ball Super Broly. What's your power level? The official Dragon Ball website spoke with Professor at Miyazaki at University's Faculty of Engineering Department. Kikuhito Kawasue, hope I pronounced that correctly, to discuss the anime Scouters. In the interview, Kawasue breaks down his own real-life versions of the Scouters. Since power levels aren't exactly a concept in our world, the Scouters are a tad different, measuring the height and weight of targets that they are focused on. Let's see, and we go to... Yeah, they actually show what the Scouters are not as mobile as the anime version, but they go into some semblance of detail, but it's essentially almost like... What was the thing that was... Yeah, what was the thing that was like an add-on for the 360? Yes, yeah, I'm getting that kind of vibe with it. In terms of Dragon Ball Super's current plans, the manga has brought an end to the Dragon Ball superhero prequel story focusing on Goten and Trunks during their high school days. Now, the Shonen series will retell the tale of the latest movie, meaning that they'll have the chance to spot Gohan, Beast, and Orange Piccolo on the printed page if the manga follows the recent film to the letter. What do you think their power is? Do you think we'll ever see power levels return to Dragon Ball Super? I think at this point, like they say, when you got to, past the Android saga and getting to the Boo saga, it's like, power levels are meaningless, because when Bulma was trying to read Goku and Vegeta's power levels during their fight in the Saiyan saga, the Scouter exploded because it wasn't able to handle it. But then again, that doesn't explain how Captain Ginyu was able to read Goku's power level during the Frieza and Namek sagas, respectively, because he got to something like 100,000 to a point where it surpassed Ginyu's level, which is when they did, when he did the body swap. Sean says it's 1006. Power levels are BS. Yeah. I mean, especially with Ultra Instinct, how would you read that? That's above Super Saiyan Blue. I mean, Frieza in his ultimate form, during the Frieza saga, his power level was 1 million, where, we're so many sagas into the future now, it's like, billions, trillions. Oh, someone brought up a very interesting point the other day. Normally, when you have somebody wished back to life with the Dragon Balls, they just respawn from where they originally died. But because Goku was given the life of a Supreme Kai, and Supreme Kais are known for lasting thousands upon thousands of years, how long has Goku got left?
I'm not too familiar with Dragon Ball lore, so I have no idea.
Well, from what I understand...
Honestly, it depends. It depends if Akira Toriyama gets bored with them. AKA never.
Oh,
Well-
yeah, especially when the author's concerned in terms of Goku.
Because the way that a Saiyan's physiology works is they retain their youthful pace, strength, and appearance up until their 80s. But then once they hit 80, it all goes downhill. But with the idea that Goku now basically has, as what a lot of people are saying, because of Ultra Instinct, he's now on the power level of that of gods within the manga and the anime, and he was given the life of the original Supreme Kai, and that Kai supposedly had like 1,000 or maybe a couple more 1,000 years left for him. What does that say for Goku? Because is it going to get to a point where they kind of do like a similar version of what they did at the end of GT, where it's implied that Goku's the new dragon somehow because he absorbs all the Dragon Balls? But then again, GT is one of those things like there are elements that we like from it, but GT's like Superman 3 and 4, like we pretend it doesn't exist.
Pretty much.
I mean, I enjoyed Super Saiyan 4, or at least the concept of it, but I didn't really like the fact that the only thing that makes him, quote, super is the fact that he's way stronger than Super Saiyan 3, but he's essentially got his regular hair color, and he's got yellow eyes, which is like, okay, that's not creepy at all. I don't know. Then it was the idea that Vegeta skipped over Super Saiyan 3 just to go straight to Super Saiyan 4. And he's somehow able to regrow his tail even though he had it chopped off. But then it doesn't... yeah. And then, it's never explained how Gohan was able to regrow his with relative ease, because with Goku, he didn't have his tail regrow until GT, because they had it cut off originally in the original Dragon Ball because of what he did to his grandpa Gohan. Which
I think with Gohan, he got his tail. Okay, canon, non-canon, 3 times. Non-canon 4 times because of, I think, what happened in Tree of Might.
Yeah, the only one who seemed to be able to control himself in a Zaru mode was Vegeta, because in the fight with Goku on Earth, he actually retained control of himself, and I suppose to some subtle degree before he went SS4, he was able to, whereas Goku, he only got control of himself going to SS4 when, Pan got through to him. Whereas in the original Dragon Ball, oh no, he's a loose cannon.
Yeah.
And Sean just says, depends if someone kills him first, wouldn't be the first time Goku dies. Nope. And to be fair, at the end of the Cell games, Gohan was meant to take over, but
Yeah.
nobody liked Teen Gohan.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that's not the character's fault. It's just the way he was being written, and you know, Gohan during the Cell games would have whooped, high school Gohan.
Yeah, he became a geek after that. Total geek.
Yeah, but then again, you have a mother like Chi-Chi. What does that tell you?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, you have a mother that's just super scared about her son turning into a monster, but at the end of the day, okay, listen. Goku isn't the smartest adult.
No
I
comment.
get that. But the thing is about Chi-Chi, it's like, I feel like she's been coddled so much, especially with the Ox King and all that jazz. It's like, it definitely affected her psyche when it came to Gohan and Goten. So, you know, it's like, it's good. I am happy to hear from when I watched from Dragon Ball Super. She kind of sort of calmed down a little bit, but you know, back then it was definitely apparent that she was definitely holding Gohan back. Even though I am happy to hear Gohan is kind of sort of back into, you know, his winning ways after that last movie. So that's, for me, that's what I've wanted for Gohan for years. Because like, jeez, after going from killing Cell to just getting destroyed again by Fat Boo, then getting destroyed by Super Boo, I'm like, damn, how many times you gonna give him? It's the way I see it with the way Gohan was written, especially in the Boo saga. It's like your favorite wrestler in the WWE.
It'd be like Taker coming back just to job to Lesnar. Oh wait, that happened. And I've said this till I'm blue in the face. Nearly 10 years later, that match with Lesnar at Mania 30, that should never have happened. I don't know what it was, but Taker was not right in that match. There was something off about him.
Now, if it was the SummerSlam 2015 match, I wouldn't have complained.
Except for all the jokes that summer that and people made memes out of this courtesy of DBZ Abridged. He keeps kicking me in the dick. Why? And even we covered this on RDR Next back in the day. Even Oni was critical of Taker doing that. It's like, really, dude?
Oh my.
Well, Taker was just about to tap out, but he then low blowed Lesnar, and it's just like, if this was Triple H or Ric Flair, I'd get it, because dirtiest players in the game, no pun intended, but you don't expect that of Taker. It's like, it's like choke slam him, like, you know, easy and done. But I don't know. As for the real life Scouters, I think it's like with anything. When you see something that's a real life adaptation of something that you've seen in animated form or in the movies, it's probably not going to be as compact as how you see it on screen. So I think they probably will get to a point where they can make it more mobile and have it be similar to what they did. I know they did a similar thing in Sonic X, where Sonic has like a scouter device where he's able to go through Area 99's defenses at GUN, and in the parody Sonic F, gonna tagline because F is funnier than Q, which I'm like, okay, so what you did there. Whoever was voicing Chris goes, "That's great, Sonic. Tell me, what does the scouter say about his power level?" It's like, really? You're really gonna go there with that? It's like, we discussed this, and I said no. And they even like have one opening to one episode where they're kind of where Chris is making the comparisons of the Chaos Emeralds to Dragon Balls, and everybody says it's an original concept. It's like, shut the hell up, dude. Do you want to get sued? That's like, oh please. Everyone knows Sonic has been plagiarizing DBZ for decades.
Dude, even a death battle when they had Vegeta versus Shadow, where they had Takahata 101 as Shadow and landed towards Vegeta, where Shadow transformed to Super Shadow, and Vegeta was like, "Wow, what a ripoff."
The difference is Vegeta doesn't need 7 mystical gems to transform into Super Saiyan. He just has, 7 supreme, pure badass reasons. Because I like what they did with a bridge where he goes, Krillin says something to the effect of in the original dub, I thought you had to be pure of heart to be a Super Saiyan, but those obviously aren't prerequisites. No, I did it via pure badass. And I'm like, yeah, that's something Vegeta would say.
And at the end is like, I want to be a Super Saiyan. I wanna.
And to be fair, wasn't too far from the original dub, because at that point Vegeta was just fed up. He's like, he put his body through absolute torture just to get there, and looking at it from the character's perspective, it's like, wait a minute, I'm from the royal bloodline, and Kakarot is just like a lowly, low-life soldier compared to me. How is it he was able to tap in? And I'm like, well, Goku is not all Saiyans, and not all Saiyans are Goku.
Also, I'm gonna be a little G-rated with this. After he got with Bulma, and then after he trained, that's when he became Super Saiyan. So that can kind of play a part in that, because in a way, the reason, of course, we all know why Goku transformed to Super Saiyan, because he had all this family and friends carry for him. In a slight hiccup, Vegeta kind of had that for Bulma as well after that, especially when Trunks was born. I mean, it took a while for him, but he kind of like understood a little bit about family until we got to the Buu Saga. Then we got the Super, which once again I really love that character development with him, because of all of that, he gained so much new abilities in the manga after that.
Sean goes, same again in Trunks versus Silver. You need Krillin to die first. That's always the thing. Krillin was always the butt of the jokes until the very, very last episode of Abridged, where all of his own tally goes down to 0, and I'm like,
that was amazing. That's how you truly ended the series.
I'm like, you know what? He's earned this. It's like, damn.
Yeah, with season 3 of Abridged, I feel like with Krillin, he was on his A games when it came to jokes.
I like, what was it with Yamcha? It's like, when my girlfriend left me, she left with all of my money. When yours left you, she left with all of hers. Gonna need a senzu for that one.
Oh my god.
It's like I say, when he's given the right material, the character is an absolute savage. And it's funny, it's because of Abridged, he gets like some of the the best lines, like with Cooler comes like, well, someone better pick up that phone because I effing called it. Or like, I mean, I've said this once or twice before. I was on this one Gotham video in the comments section, and somebody brings up, it's like, didn't your parents ever teach you any manners to Bruce? And I just simply go, you pushed the parents button. Shouldn't have done that. And someone goes, this is not DBZ Abridged. And then someone's like, oh, please. DBZ Abridged applies to anything. Sean says, kill the bald one. Frieza did it. You do get some good lines. We've kind of veered off the point completely. Steve faults on the fact that they've essentially got the first prototype of a real-life scouter, and, well, where can they go with this, realistically?
Maybe it just feels like something you'd see in any sci-fi show, really. Well, in a futuristic version of the world. Kind of almost like the caps that you'd seen in Captain Scala, almost.
Yeah.
If you could add a microphone to it, you'd pretty much have a way to communicate with people. You could probably turn that into some sort of communicator thing.
There is that.
But it's a nice little idea.
Of course, it's never explained in either generation of Scarlet how the microphone actually dipped down from the actual flap of the cap, because whenever they wanted to communicate, it would just drop down automatically, and I'm like, wait, unless there's like little neuron readers on the forehead telling the microphone to flap down, I don't know.
Maybe some sort of trigger function there.
Maybe.
Like if you're answering a call, the microphone just pops down.
Maybe. All right. Raiden, what's your take?
Novel concept, but like, I feel like the scanner days have just been, it's just been played out. But I adore the creativity, even doctors, just have. So I respect it. It was cool.
Right, I'm gonna chill the beat with the music a second, because unfortunately we have some sad news to announce. Lance Reddick's wife releases statement thanking fans for support. Lance Reddick, beloved actor known for his roles as Cedric Daniels in The Wire and Sharon in the John Wick franchise, as well as his work in the Destiny video game, passed away Friday at the age of 60, and now his wife Stephanie Reddick has released a statement thanking fans for their overwhelming love, support, and beautiful stories about the actor. The statement was released on Reddick's official social media pages on Saturday, and you can check it out for yourself below. Lance was taken from us far too soon. Thank you all for your overwhelming love, support, and beautiful stories on these platforms over the last day. I see your messages and can't begin to express how grateful I am to have them. And to the thousands of Destiny players who played... Sorry about that. Desktop's making updates. And to the thousands of Destiny players who played in special tribute to Lance, thank you. Lance loved you as much as he loved the game. Donations may be made to moncares.org in Baltimore, his hometown. Reddick was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and studied classical music composition at the University of Rochester's Eastman School of Music, where he got his Bachelor of Music degree, and before earning a Master of Fine Arts degree from Yale in 1994. Reddick began acting on screen in the 90s, first appearing in the episodes of New York Undercover, Swift Justice, and The Nanny. His first film role was playing Anton Lafarge in Alfonso Cuarón's Great Expectation in 1998. Hope I pronounced the last name correctly. Reddick's film credits included The Siege, I Dreamed of Africa, Don't Say a Word, Tennessee, The Way of War, Jonah Hex, Won't Back Down, White House Down, The Guest, Little Woods, Sylvie's Love, One Night in Miami, Godzilla vs. Kong, and many more. Reddick's television appearances include The West Wing, Falcon, Oz, Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, CSI Miami, Lost, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Fringe, The Blacklist, Ricky and Morty, American Horror Story, DuckTales, Castlevania, Bosch, and more. Reddick just wrapped production on the first season of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which will see him playing Zeus. As for the John Wick franchise, news of Reddick's statement in Ballerina was announced in December. Charon is an indispensable part of the world of Wick. It's great to know that Lance will continue to make his mark on the franchise. Producer Erica Lee said in a statement, The project wrapped production in February, which means fans will get another chance to see Reddick in this role. We are deeply saddened and heartbroken at the loss of our beloved friend and colleague Lance Reddick. John Wick director Chad Stahelski and star Keanu Reeves said, He was the consummate professional and a joy to work with. Our love and prayers are with his wife Stephanie, his children, family, and friends. We dedicate the film to his loving memory. We will miss him dearly. A statement was also issued by Lionsgate, the studio behind John Wick. The world of Wick would not be what it is without Lance Reddick and the unparalleled depth he brought to Charon's humanity and unflappable charisma. Lance leaves behind an indelible legacy and hugely impressive body of work, but we will remember him as our lovely, joyful friend and concierge. We're stunned and heartbroken, and our deepest condolences go to his beloved family and his fans all around the world. Yeah. Well, I can't really add anything to that. So, Stephen, thoughts?
Yet again, another actor that is beloved around the world is gone. Not much else I can say other than he will always live on through his works. And I think myself and many others out there are grateful that we had a lot of great performances from when he was alive.
Agreed. Excuse me. Raiden?
I can't. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, you guys said it. I was just a natural treasure and just an all-around good dude. I mean, he was just, aside from the serious roles he played, he was just a fun-loving guy. Like anything he does, from gaming to just doing movies, you always appreciate it. It's very fortunate that it happened, but that's life for you. So, anyway, rest in peace. Those go out to his family, and I'm still gonna enjoy his past work, especially as the concierge from John Wick. I mean, that's my favorite role of his. So, yeah, R.I.P. to them, man.
On to some other sad news that's just come to light. Jurassic Park star Sam Neill confirms blood cancer diagnosis.
Thanks.
Beloved actor Sam Neill, known for his work in the Jurassic Park franchise and the piano, has revealed that he is diagnosed with stage 3 blood cancer. The revelation came from Neill's new memoir, Did I Ever Tell You This?, where the actor revealed that he has been undergoing treatment for the cancer. Oh, wow. That's angioimmunoblastic T-cell lymphoma since last year. As Neill reveals, he began experiencing swollen glands while promoting Jurassic World Dominion last year and was subsequently treated with chemotherapy. When the chemotherapy began to ail, He was then treated with a new chemotherapy drug, while Neil is now cancer-free. Excellent. He will continue to receive monthly treatments for the remainder of his life. The thing is, I'm crook, possibly dying, Neil writes in the book's first chapter. I may have to speed this up. I can't pretend that the last year hasn't had its dark moments, he explained in a recent interview with The Guardian. But those dark moments throw the light into a sharp relief. You know you have made me grateful for every day and immensely grateful for all my friends, just pleased to be alive. I'm not afraid to die, but it would annoy me, he said elsewhere in the interview, because I'd really like another decade or two. We've all built all these lovely terraces, we've all got these lovely olive trees and cypresses. Okay. I want to be around to see it all mature, and I've got my lovely little grandchildren. I want to see them dig, but as for the dying, I couldn't care less. Neil is still acting amid his cancer treatment, with reports from last month indicating that Neil has joined the cast of Apples Never Fall, a new limited series co-starring Annette Bening. Apples Never Fall will be adapting the book of the same name from Little Big Lies and Nine Perfect Strangers author Liane Moriarty, and will star Neil and Bening as parents and former tennis coaches who will sail their famed sports academy and prepare for retirement, only for Benning's matriarch to disappear. What do you feel of Sam Neill's update regarding his cancer diagnosis? This took me by surprise because I didn't even know that he was suffering. On one hand, I'm glad that he's cancer free because having lost a few members of my family to cancer, cancer is not to be sniffed at. It is, how do I word this appropriately? You treat it with the respect in the same way that you would respect an enemy that's unrelenting and fiercely aggressive. You know what it's capable of. You know, you, like I say, you don't take it lightly. You want it gone, but you don't treat it in the way that you don't say, how to say this, you know it's a horrible illness, but you don't try to laugh it off. You treat it very seriously. It's once you get to that plateau where you're told you're free, that's when you kind of lean back in the rocking chair and you're like, okay, I can breathe, I can relax, I can take a chill pill finally. Like I say, Sean, I'm so sorry to hear that. He just said, I lost my uncle, my mum's brother, to cancer 2 weeks ago. My condolences, my friend. My condolences.
Definitely, brother.
Sorry
you had to go through that. Because like I say, it's not something you take lightly. You treat it, with the respect, that you would with a formidable opponent. You don't want it to be there, but you don't talk smack about it. That's all I'm gonna say. On one hand, he would probably prefer that he not have to go through this type of chemotherapy once a month for the rest of his life. But the trade-off I look at it with that is, Sam, I'm pretty sure your family would prefer that you went through that rather than not having you there at all. I think I know which one I would prefer. I mean, some may look at that and say, well, that's selfish just to keep him around for that. It's like, what person on this earth would not want to see one of their family members stick around? Because, as selfish as this sounds, I would love if my mother was still here. I would love it if some of my other relatives were still here, because that's just human nature. And I don't know if human companionship is the right term to use, but no one ever wants to say goodbye to a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, or friends that are like your family. I've unfortunately had to say goodbye to 2 friends who are sadly no longer here. I'm not going to go saying the circumstances of how they passed away, because I'm pretty sure their families would not like that kind of information being brought on here. But let's just say they were going through some stuff at the time. That's all I'm willing to elaborate at this point in time. And, Sam is into his 70s. It's like you said, if he can be around for another decade or 2, that'll be awesome, because the way I look at it is, whether you're going through a horrible illness like that, or you've made it to the other side and you're in remission and you're free of it, each day is like a gift. It's like, I've got an extra day. I've got this extra day that I'm going to do things that I would have normally put off before, because you never know what the future is going to bring. And I think that's probably the way he's looking at it from that perspective. What this will mean as and when they bring back the Jurassic Park franchise, because Universal has stated that they are going to bring it back, but it's going to be laying dormant for about 5 to 10 years. Universal don't leave it laying dormant as the gap between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World. Just saying, because yes, it needs to go away for a while, but not that long, because there were multiple ideas that they almost went with for the 4th Jurassic Park movie, including the human dinosaur hybrid idea, which, if this was like a Resident Evil styled parody of Jurassic Park, then I'd say, well, okay, fair enough.
It's Dino Crisis.
Yeah. But considering Jurassic Park has some level of scientific accuracy and credibility with regards to the dinosaurs, because one YouTuber put a scientifically accurate T-Rex into the breakout scene and then compared the scientifically accurate T-Rex with Rexy, you'd be surprised how little off Rexy was to the scientifically accurate one. I mean, the only one thing that was a little bit off was the real T-Rex has lips covering its teeth, whereas with Rexy, her teeth are exposed. But in terms of like the scientific accuracy, Rexy was only off by like 5 to 7%. That's how close they nailed it with the T-Rex. But I mean, whether Sam will be contributing to Jurassic Park's 30th this year, I don't know. It'll probably be more with the Jurassic World cast, and Spielberg will probably say something, and probably maybe someone from the Crichton family will offer some very flattering words on Michael's behalf, because unfortunately Michael passed away. I think Michael Crichton passed away 2009, 2010, give or take. Because I know he wasn't around when they did the retrospective for the 2011 Blu-ray release. Although one would make the argument, why they couldn't have waited till 2013 for the 20th anniversary, but then more and more studios were getting on board with doing the transfer from standard definition to high definition. It's just like, let's just do this. Let's just do this. T-Rex. Hello, you little lawyer. Let me give you a kiss. Oh, good lord, mental images. Oh, dear. Yeah.
Does T-Rex even in Jurassic Park have lips?
No. But what I'm saying is the real T-Rex has actually been scientifically proven or scientifically thought to actually have lips that actually cover the teeth, because we know the velociraptors do. But I don't know. Okay, I've yammered on a little bit too long with this. Steve, your thoughts?
It's really sad to hear that he ended up having to go through that, because cancer's not a joke, folks.
No, it is not.
And I think we may have said this multiple times before, but some battles with cancer do not always work well.
No.
I mean, a good few years ago, we lost Chadwick Boseman to cancer.
He did. And he was doing all of those Marvel movies in between operations because he wanted to bring the best performance to the audience. Now that's dedication.
And I can see why he may have wanted to keep it quiet, because sometimes when people like that end up saying that they have something as afflicting as cancer, it can cause a lot of unwanted attention.
Michael Aspel was exactly the same. He said in an interview years ago that he had been battling cancer quietly for 3 years because, as you say, some people just don't want that attention. They just want to go about their daily routine and just do it quietly. Yeah. Raiden, your thoughts?
It is unfortunate, but I like how he's in good spirits. Like I said, a lot of people that we love, we lost them to cancer. So it's just the way of life, and hopefully, there's truly a cure to cure all that. Because, as always, we've lost way too many people to that disease.
We have.
Honestly, once again, at least the man's a good spirit, and I know it'll be his time. But we still appreciate him at the end of the day. So that's that. That's all it is to it.
And Sean Retro says, and Cartman got beaten up for making fun of cancer. It's like,
remember that.
It's one of those times. It's like where you kind of look at something that Cartman says or does, and it's like, oh no, dude, this is justified. Like, you had this coming.
It's Cartman. What do you expect?
Yeah, shit. I always find it interesting, and I don't mean this in a sarcastic sense. I always find it a little bit thought-provoking how we now have a cure for people who are HIV, but we still haven't cured cancer. It's just, I don't know. It's just something that it's just something that gets me thinking, because it was actually a UK citizen who, I think he got treated for this in 2014, 2016, if I'm not mistaken. I may have to double check this in a bit, where he'd had the treatment and he was still free of all the symptoms 2 to 3 years later, and the doctor said, we can repeat this process again. So it's nice to know there is hope. I mean, with AIDS, and especially what took the life of Freddie, there's still no cure for that. But we now know that, like I say, because of the advancements they've made in medical science, they know that if you're HIV negative, and if I remember this correctly, that like I say, the man in question was HIV positive, the fact that this process can actually say, oh no, we can get rid of this for you, like, sweet. Does make me wonder if Charlie Sheen's gone in for this as well, because he made that announcement to the world, but I think he also did it because he didn't want to keep paying out $10 million a month for people to keep it quiet, because he was paying people for the longest amount of time to keep it quiet. But I think because his finances were probably running a little low, it was just like, maybe I should go public with this, because at least that way I don't have to pay people. But from what I understand with him, he has actually been cleaning his act up a lot. And I think when you're faced with something like that, you kind of get given that wake-up call. It's like, it's time to grow up. Because the way that he exited 2.5 Men is just like, well, I understand that you were going through a dark period and you were finding a way to try and cope with it, but some of the things he referred to Chuck Lorre as, which is the reason why he got fired, folks, I'm not going to repeat it, because while we tend to be off the cuff, we do draw the line at certain things when it comes to saying inflammatory things that can be insulting to a person's religion, nationality, and or ethnicity. And Charlie Sheen said some very unflattering things about Chuck Lorre, and like I say, you can go out and read this for yourself, but we're not repeating it on here, because that's just one of those few moments where I kind of look at Charlie and I'm like, dude, I'm not defending you for that. It's like, I still love you as a comedic performer. I think you can be a decent person, but what you did there, no, I don't have your back for that. Sorry. Leave it at that. I had a feeling I was probably going to use this next one as a just in case, and I think given the mood that has happened, I think this will be justified. I'm just going to get this set up a moment. Give it a second. Hang on. I need to... Yes, I'm well aware of that. Alright, make this. Yeah, I had a feeling that I was going to have to do this. Is it showing up?
Nope.
Give me a moment.
It's private.
Ah, right. Refresh it. Try it now.
Got it.
Alright, I'm going to up the volume. Just make sure that's... Okay. I'm at 0.
Ditto.
Same here.
3, 2, 1, play. When we think of Superman, we think of him as a beacon of hope, able to achieve physical feats that no mere human can even think of achieving.
I kind of like how you just go straight to the introduction and not just like do a big intro.
Well, I tried to do one, but YouTube blocked it originally.
Yeah, of course.
Cartoons and to the iconic portrayal from the late Christopher Reeve from 1978 to 1987. And it should be noted that Reeve is the one that we associate the most with this role, as with most other actors that have been on screen in any role, this is an actor playing this role. Look to Christopher Reeve playing Superman, you don't see an actor on screen. All you see is Superman. There have been many attempts to revive the Superman movie franchise from the cancelled Nicolas Cage project that would have been directed by Tim Burton. And knowing how Tim Burton can go to places, if Alice in Wonderland and Batman Returns is anything to go by, he'll go full-on Tim Burton. There was even one project where Supes would have gotten Lois Lane pregnant, died, then when the baby was born, it would grow to adulthood in no time and have Superman's memories and personality.
What?
Now
Now that's not confusing at all.
Before getting to Superman Returns, we would have seen a Superman Batman movie where Bat would have been portrayed by Christian Bale and teaming up with Supes after the death of Alfred and Clark and Lois had divorced. Superman Returns came to theaters in the summer of 2006 to a somewhat lukewarm reception. While people liked the performance of Brandon Routh in the Clark Kent side of his role, his Superman part just seemed to lack the personality and the dry wit that Christopher Reeve did with ease. Kevin Spacey stole the show by chewing the scene more than Gene Hackman did with his performance, which, since this movie was implied to be a pseudo-sequel to 1980 Superman 2 and ignoring 3 and 4.
And of course, if you saw those movies, you'll know why they ignored them.
Yep. The advent of 2005's Batman Begins, where Christopher Nolan had Bat portrayed in a more realistic setting, of which became the standard of comic book movies thereafter, it was then on the set of The Dark Knight Rises that co-writer David Goyer had this idea of reinventing Superman for a modern age. But like with any project, you have to be able to update a character for a modern audience without deviating from what made the character so likable to begin with. And when it was announced that Zack Snyder was approached to lead the project and relatively unknown British actor Henry Cavill chosen to play the legendary character, they set to bring the last son of Krypton back to the big screen in a way that he's never been seen before.
So, after 10 years, is this still as strong as before, or does it suffer from its own kryptonite? Well, time to find out as we head back to look at Man of Steel.
The way Krypton is represented in being this grand, majestic world teeming with life is something that really separates this from the 1978 movie and various other iterations of Superman. Krypton had always been seen as this cold, ice-like, barren wasteland, which begs to question how it could even support life.
Whereas here, there is a beautiful and rich ecosystem.
It's interesting to see much more detail paid attention to the society of the Kryptonians, with the sense of attire that seems to take notes from aristocracy from Earth's medieval history, even down to the chain metal undergarments that would be underneath their uniforms. We meet Jor-El, played this time by Russell Crowe, as Krypton's chief scientist. If you wonder why there's some slight differences in the cadence, I had to do re-recordings because I was coming down with a cold at the time.
Right.
And he needs to access the Codex.
The Kryptonian Codex is essentially manufactured birthing. Each person is assigned a role before birth, a politician, a warrior, and so forth.
Before this, Lara, Jor-El's wife, gives birth to Kal-El, Krypton's first naturally born child in centuries. Knowing that the planet is doomed, Jor-El opts to send his son to
Sounds like a class rank if you play Dungeons and Dragons.
his son's cells. Unsurprisingly, we get a repeat from Superman 1 with Zod and company being banished to the Phantom Zone for their attempted coup d'etat.
That killing Jor-El probably didn't help their cause either. Also, if you thought the CD case that they were sealed into within Superman questionable-looking toys. They get
Yeah.
make me feel very awkward.
Before being imprisoned, Zod makes it clear that he will find her son.
All right. I will find.
I had to do it. I had to do it.
And we see Kal-El on a fishing boat, now under the identity of his Earth name, Clark Kent. This is something that the movie would do at various points in jumping from the present back to the past, and then the past back to the present, and
Yeah.
it gets jarring with regards to
That was annoying.
I appreciate that it's good to
Yeah, it
try
really
and
didn't
find
gel
ways
well
to
with me.
tell a story that everyone knows, but at the same time, when too many flashbacks occur, it can take you out of the story. Whereas in the Richard Donner movie, he fully knows his powers by the time he puts the suit on for the first time. With this story, he's still learning about what he's capable of, even in his early 30s, as he travels like a nomad, hopping from place to place, doing odd jobs and helping people out.
and in some cases, testing his patience. Folks, right on. He had it coming.
What this movie did more of with Clark compared to previous portrayals is the loneliness and isolation that he feels in keeping distance from everyone, knowing what could go wrong if he were to be discovered and use his powers for the wrong reasons. This is emphasized more so by Jonathan Kent, played by Kevin Costner. I was really surprised they got him as John.
Hmm.
His son feels conflicted whether he should use his powers to help people.
I can't hold you. He got on my nerves.
Really?
Somebody struggling. Your knee-jerk reaction is to
Yeah, I'm like, I'll mention it after.
Okay.
every time he does it, it raises questions.
Then we come to the first meeting between Clark and Jor-El.
Well, it's a sophisticated holographic version of him.
This was a very profound moment between the two, as if you meet your real parent not knowing who or what you are, you have a multitude of questions, and knowing the confused childhood that Clark had, he had a lot of them. This is also when we're introduced to the new suit, and we see Cal attempting to
Anything
fly
okay
for
there,
the
Steve?
first time.
Yeah,
What
sorry.
I like about the suit and what I think is clever on the writer's behalf is why not have the suit be made from the material as the undergarments of the Kryptonian armor? I mean, how else would this suit be able to withstand all the extremities that it has done in various media of the character? Seeing Clark struggle with his first attempts at flying before he understands that he needs to put more power into his liftoff in the same manner that a rocket like Thunderbird 1 would need to generate to lift off, and to see his grand tour around the world from various sites like the plains of Africa, the White Cliffs of Dover to the Grand Canyon was breathtaking, and to make it look like you're seeing it from his perspective was great. The way that Lois Lane is represented feels more assertive and more no-nonsense. That's not to say that Margot Kidder's version didn't do that, but Amy Adams' portrayal definitely feels more straight to the point and cuts through the noise. This, of course, leads to conflict with Lawrence Fishburne's Perry White. Perry has the sense of preserving good taste and not promoting a story of sensationalism in the context of Aliens Among Us or Guardian Angels. It's only when Zod this was creepy. Gets more serious. The way that he communicates his message around the world in various languages is greeted to what feels like a horror movie setting, to where TV screens around the world black out, then come back on with this unsettling noise in the background before he tells Kal-El to hand himself over, or the world faces the consequences. The final battle between Zod and Supes gets a lot of heat for the death and destruction it caused.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Time out.
First off, Superman did not instigate this. Zod and his takeover the world ploy began, and Superman merely tried to restrain him. Furthermore, if you have two aliens that have the power of demigods, what did you think was going to happen?
That's what happens.
You couldn't resist, could you, Zach?
This scene delivered what the previous movies could only
Yep.
pull off from an effects perspective. This fight is on par with Goku versus Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z.
And probably the most
A lot of
controversial
fights seem
moment
to be like that nowadays.
A lot of debate has
Yeah.
been made in the 10 years since this movie whether Superman was right or wrong to
Honestly, I didn't mind this.
Metropolis train station.
It's complicated.
Ask yourself this.
I mean, it needed to happen so he would never do it again.
Mm.
for returning, or
Zod was never gonna stop.
his decisions
Yeah, of course.
and kill the last of your kind in
So even the purest hearts had to make a had to make a difficult decision.
the anger and sadness in knowing that Superman had to kill the last of his race as he knew that Zod would never stop as he only had death and destruction on his mind. The ending was a little too neatly wrapped up. Soups, now cracking jokes after crashing a government drone after having slain one of his own, did feel a little odd, as it seemed like he got over that event way too
Yeah.
quickly. But that said, it's never specified how much time had passed since Zod's death.
I think that echoes his kind of sort of goofball persona.
Mm.
Well, even then, that's still too soon. I would say that
And
the
it-
writing still holds up well, aside from
They
some
didn't really clarify with that.
No.
more from flashbacks to the present, and like I just mentioned, the ending was a little too idyllic. The British actor portrays the last son of Krypton with a lot of authentic honesty in being conflicted with a lot of uncertainty about himself until he learns the truth about who and what he is. Two of the best emotional role acting displays is when he watches his father being killed by the tornado and then the realization setting in that he killed Zod to save the lives of innocents, which, by the way, was completely improvised by him. Snyder liked it so much that he kept it in the movie. He has great chemistry with Russell Crowe's Jor-El and plays off Kevin Costner and Diane Lane equally well. The first man to play Krypton's chief scientist on the big screen since the late Marlon Brando. Crowe's performance as Kal-El's father has a lot of warmth and wisdom to him as he lays out the importance of what Kal-El's Kryptonian legacy means. He plays off of Michael Shannon's Zod exceedingly well as the two men that wanted the same survival of their race, but had very different ways of looking to achieve them. Only a handful of actors could have played the sober and sensible father that approached the idea of Clark's gifts as he grew up, and I like the down-to-earth sensibilities that Costner put into his performance as Superman's Earth father that openly embraced Clark as one of his own. If Kevin Costner had the very sensible discipline of how to raise Clark, then Diane Lane was definitely the more compassionate but just as protective parent in Martha Kent. Even though she was up against Zod and his minions that were 1,000 times her strength, she still defied them.
The craft he arrived at, where is it?
Go to hell.
Now that is a true mother.
Yep.
Amy has a more reserved approach as the Daily Planet's ace reporter, but she approaches this role with just as much conviction. I think what I enjoy about her performance is how she's drawn to Clark and changes her perspective after hearing his story. If Jackie Cooper's portrayal as the Daily Planet's chief editor was basically the equivalent of Marvel's J. Jonah Jameson, then Fishburne's portrayal is definitely more reserved and soft-spoken. I had my reservations originally, as this is not necessarily a role you would think he would take after playing the philosophical Morpheus for so many years. And yet here he plays a man with a lot of common sense, intelligence, and someone that likes to put out the best news possible for his publication while keeping within the boundaries of good taste. Terrence Stamp will always be Zod to so many generations with his eloquent delivery. With Michael Shannon's take on Krypton's general, he portrays a ruthless individual that will stay true to his convictions regardless of how harsh his actions may come across. And that's the thing about characters who are evil. They truly believe they are acting in the best interest of others no matter how messed up their logic is.
Yep.
Weta Digital were brought in to handle the effects for this second 21st century take on Superman. And if you know Weta Digital's resume from their work on 2011's Rise of the Planet of the Apes, 2009's Avatar, and 2013's Iron Man 3, then you know that they deliver on convincing photoreal visual effects. One attention to detail that's very subtle is when you look closely at Superman's face as he stands up to face the beam of the World Engine, and you can see glimpses of Christopher Reeve in there. It's very quick, blink and you miss it. But I do appreciate the fact that the producers had that put in there, as Chris was an
Yeah.
amazing Superman, and to see that included was not only pleasing, but also a respectful nod. The best visual effects are anytime Supes is flying. The use of his heat vision and to the final battle between him and Zod going all over Metropolis, up into space, and ending at the train station. Folks, on one hand, it put the fight between Nuclear Man and Superman to shame. Not that that was hard considering how awful Superman 4 was.
Blech.
The constructive critique I will make
No, we
is
don't.
I thought it was unnecessary for the muted color tone approach that they applied to the filter, as it did make the movie feel cold in places.
Yeah, it was too dark. Yeah, I always had a complaint about that too.
Itself to that environment, but when you're seeing soups fly all over the world and to the fight scenes, it does do a disservice. Ugly Edits channel demonstrates how the movie could have looked without the bleak approach. So in summary, the effects brought Superman's powers to life in many ways that the original movies could only dream of. Hans Zimmer had a daunting task ahead of him. When you live in the shadow of John Williams' Superman score, you have some big shoes to fill. Considering the tremendous work he had accomplished in delivering for the Dark Knight trilogy, he was enlisted to bring life to the world of Superman with a much more theatrical and dramatic take on the Man of Steel. Now that's not to take anything away from what Williams did. The Superman March theme and the accompanying themes in the movies are iconic, and deservedly so. But this was not your daddy's Superman, and considering the tone was contrastingly different to what had been done with the previous series, this project in turn needed something that would set itself apart. And the theme, which is also known as What Are You Going to Do When You're Not Saving the World, is such a bombastic and uplifting dramatic piece. It starts off very slow with an almost somber piano piece in a way of reflecting Clark's loneliness. It's once it begins to pick up the pace with the mighty roar that you could envision with Superman taking to the skies. One piece that does this masterfully is when he learns to fly for the first time and you feel the euphoric experience with Clark as the score complements what he is feeling. The theme represents Superman as the people see him in this movie. They see him as hope, someone they can look to when they need help the most. Everyone longs for heroes that they can look up to and believe in, and Hans Zimmer accomplished this flawlessly with this score. Man of Steel grossed a profit of $668 million against a budget of $200 million to $225 million. Put in 10 years of inflation, and the profit would now be $863 million. It took $116.6 million in its opening weekend, making it 2013's third highest behind Iron Man 3's $174.1 million, and it earned $74 million on its opening weekend in 24 countries. Despite the good box office return, it garnered mixed reviews. Richard Roeper of the Chicago Sun-Times said that Man of Steel covered no new ground with regards to Superman films, and instead were plunged back into a mostly underwhelming film with underdeveloped characters and supercharged fight scenes that drag on and offer nothing new in the way of special effects creativity. Kofi Outlaw, editor-in-chief at Screen Rant, gave Man of Steel a 4 out of 5 star review, stating that Man of Steel has more than earned its keep and deserves to be the iconic Superman movie for a whole new generation. He would go on to name Man of Steel the best superhero movie of 2013. Despite the mixed press for the movie, Henry Cavill was praised for his performance as Superman, even winning an MTV Movie Award for Best Hero. Man of Steel would be followed by
Oh no.
Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice that garnered equally mixed press, if not more so, for the way that the titular characters came off as hypocrites to one another, and the way the Martha scene became an instant meme to where internet comic artists would throw bats off his game whenever someone makes this was then followed with the
Yep.
warm reception for 2017.
I like Wonder Woman. Oh, damn it. Oh, God.
No.
Why?
Oh dear God.
All because he refused to shave his mustache off.
To fix some aspects in keeping more with the tone that he established with Man of Steel. Henry reprised his role once more as an uncredited cameo at the end of 2022's Black Adam in a mid-credit scene. Unfortunately, this would not progress further as the DC Cinematic Universe was rebooted, with James Gunn essentially becoming DC's equivalent to Marvel's Kevin Feige. Since 2013, the movie has been
You can't hear. You might not have heard it, but I just face palmed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm MJ Knight,
Mhm.
and this was Man of Steel.
right, that was pretty good.
Yeah, good job.
I wasn't gonna use that, but because that was essentially two heavy topics in a row, I was like, no, we need a palate cleanser.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of times I had to do re-recordings. Alright. The short version is I was okay with the voiceovers originally, but then I start hearing some like small inconsistencies, like I would hear the playbacks and I'd hear like these little air bubbles popping when I was doing some takes. I'm like, no, I'm not happy with that. So I go to retake them, but at the time I was coming down with my cold and I sounded like nasal, and I'm like, oh, I've got to wait for that to clear. And I was gonna get Win to redub the lines that I wasn't able to do, but I think she got caught up on a couple of IRL commitments, so I waited till my voice had recovered enough just to be like, okay, let's do this, let's finish this. So I mean, I did a final render because I was listening to the voiceover playback and I'm like, although it's louder than what it once was, it's like it was still a little on the quiet side. So all I did was just bumped up the voiceover volume by 1.5 decibels and it seems to do the trick. And that's what I'm going to be doing going forward with regards to The Amazing Spider-Man, which production has finally wrapped up on that. But, and this is a thing I'm also trying to do as well, is actually, is actually try and have myself awake during the day just so I can go, right, get this one done, move on to Amazing 2, and then I've got, the rest of March, all of April, and all of May to get a specific project I want to get done for June, just so I can have that done and also get it done in time before the heat really starts cranking up during the summer. Because, and I've said this so many times, Steve, once those temperatures got into the mid and high 20s last year, it's like, no, I'm not doing any work with regards to YouTube, forget it. There's hot, and then there's, right, I'm gonna go for my second or third shower today, because that was the only way people could stay cool. Because the irony is, a hot shower cools you down. It sounds ass backwards, but there is actual logic to it. And
That's true.
And I remember very vividly, I got out of one shower, like, okay, I'm all nice and dry. All of a sudden, my head's sweating again. I'm like, oh, come on. It's like, at that point, you're just like, throw your hands in the air. It's just, ugh.
You couldn't afford a humidifier or something like that?
Well, I could, but they're usually about £200 a pop over here. I will look to get one, because if last year's was anything to go by,
it was ridiculous.
And Steve can attest to this. During my birthday stream on the Friday, I had to restart my Xbox twice because there's like a fail-safe safety feature built into it where if it gets too hot, it will shut itself down.
Well, damn.
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well. But it just shows how more sophisticated gaming consoles have actually gotten in the last 20 to 30 years. Because I do recall my Mega Drive at some stages got a little too warm to where it's like, no, maybe we should turn this off for a while. But
it's kind of like how you get grounded, and it's like, you try to watch TV when your parents aren't home, and then they come back, you turn on TV, like you said, what were you doing? Nothing. And they know when you lie when you feel the TV being warm. Like, oh man.
But here's the thing: they can't not expect you to not do it because they're going to say,
That's true.
I mean, I was very thankful I was only ever grounded maybe once or twice as a kid. I mean, I wasn't perfect, you know. There were a couple of times Random and I got into fights as siblings because it happens. But they never last too long. And I remember one weekend very specifically, Dad just kind of said, well, his grounded is ended early. And so like, well, how did he get a comic book? He had his own pocket money saved from last week. It's like, why has he gone off? And it's like, well, he behaved himself this weekend. You know, it's old stuff, but it's just like, if your parents all look and think, well, he's learned his lesson, he's behaved himself, it's like, let it be, you know?
Yeah.
Although it wasn't really so much a punishment for me when I was grounded, because I never went out as a kid anyway,
Right.
because as a kid I was very introverted and kept to myself, so being grounded just basically meant no video games and no TV, whereas, you know, it's like, it means you can't go out, and I give them this looks like, you do know I don't go out anyway, so you're not really punishing me on that one. And you know,
You say that in real life, you get smacked in the mouth. Well, I think it's more of a black family thing.
yeah, but you know, yeah. So a dehumidifier is probably one thing I will probably look to get if I've got the money this year, because thankfully, what I'm about
And man, trust me, way back in 2019, our old AC unit outside, that shit was shut down for the remainder of the year. We had to get like another one, so
Jeez.
had to get like a humidifier for you know, just for my room, because you see what how my room feels. It's very like chill downstairs. When you go upstairs, it's very hot, especially when the sun comes up. But yeah, without the AC, you know, especially like just going on, it definitely gets hot down there back of that. So the humidifier, especially when you put like a little bit of ice in it, it definitely helps out cool off the room a little bit.
Like I say, I probably will look to get one of those, because what I'm about to say next is not really political per se, but the government announced that they were extending the energy support scheme till June this year, so that helps, because basically energy bills are just too high now, and the government basically pay the energy companies to refund basically almost 50% of your energy bills, because we basically, you know, dependent on how large your bills are, you basically get refunded £67, which is extremely helpful. As somebody who's a creature of the night, I probably use most of the energy during the evenings when I'm home, because, well, I can't see in the dark that clearly. I don't quite have, you know, cat's eyes or a vampire's line of sight.
It would be helpful.
It would indeed save a ton of money on the energy bills. But no, something I will look to get, and also eventually replace the Skull Candy headphones that I use for the desktop, because unfortunately the foam pieces on the ear pieces are now slowly peeling away. But I've had these things since 2016. I think I just spent like £10 on them, so I've had my money's worth out of them. So I'll probably look to get a Steel Series set, either that or I'll go for, as Amanda suggested, go for a Kraken headset from Razer, because she cannot praise the Kraken set enough, because that's what she uses most of her live streams. But like me, she uses wired headsets for desktop gaming and streaming, because I don't know if you noticed this, when you use wireless on desktop, there's a little bit of a lag. If you're watching a video, there's a lag between the visuals and the audio by like maybe a second or two, and it's a little bit off-putting and jarring. It's fine when I'm watching via my phone, because for whatever reason there's no lag whatsoever. If I was just listening to my music via wireless, it'd be fine, because you're not paying attention to visuals, you're just paying attention to what's going in your ears. But when you're doing wireless and watching video, after a while you're like, I need to stop this. It's like, I can't watch this if it's going to be like that. It's almost like if, I'm saying this in the context of how it would look, of how Wayne's World 2 did this perfectly, where Cassandra's father and Wayne were originally speaking in Cantonese, and then they put dubbing in, and it's when you see the dubbing voice actors not matching the lips in time, it's almost like that with regards to the lag between the audio and the syncing up the visuals via Bluetooth. But I mean, yeah, when you're watching a dubbed an English dub of a foreign movie, yeah, you expect the audio to not match up with the words of the original dub, because it's in a different language and a different cadence and a different pitch. So you have to expect that. With animation, you get a little bit of a leeway, because you're not really watching animation for lip movements, because animation's not really that specific with regards to how they animate the character speaking. At least that's how I perceive it. So the only thing I think that they do with regards to anime, with regards to English dubs, in post-production they probably get the voiceovers to be a little bit sped up, just so that it just matches the original lip movements just a little bit more.
I think Gary Chalk said a while back, when he was talking about dubbing in some anime, it's like word fit. You've got to say your specific lines within the frame of when the character's lips are moving.
Oh, I see. I think they may have done, well, we know with Batman the Animated Series, they got the animation to match the audio, because they did the voiceovers first. Then they did the animation, which, back then that was unheard of, and they would actually get the artists and animators to look at the voice actors, especially Mark Hamill, because he would always stand up to do his lines as the Joker, just to be able to energize the character. And it's Mark Hamill. He's a ham. He's going to do, what he feels is best to, as I say, energize the character. Long-term goal is to get a streaming gaming PC, only because the old fella's coming up for 10 this year, and although he's still very high spec, he doesn't have a 4K graphics card, so it's why I stopped trying to stream Jurassic World Evolution via Steam because it was dropping frames faster than I could care to mention. It was just such a slow pace, and it's just like I can't rock to this. That's why I just stream from my Xbox. It's just easier. But that's gonna take time and money, because if you want a good streaming PC, you gotta pay good. Because if you pay cheap, you buy
most
twice.
definitely.
Quality comes with price.
Oh yes,
I've
definitely.
been recommended by one of my co-workers a company called PC Specialist that give like preset templates, and you can have add-ons put into it. So I said, oh, I'll be definitely adding a Blu-ray writing drive, because I still use discs, because I think physical media still has a place in this world. And also from the perspective of, if you're just downloading, say, a single episode from iTunes of a TV show that is the only episode you like, then okay, I can get that. But if you want the full entire season, it's like, just go buy the DVD or Blu-ray from Amazon or HMV, because also it keeps people within a job. And people are still buying vinyl, because vinyl still has a much crisper, clear sound compared to CD or digital. I mean, digital's great if you only want the one song, but if you want the entire albums, just go buy the CD. And also, you can hold it in your hands. That's the other part of it. Because when it comes to things like physical media, I'm a bit of a sentimentalist. I like to be able to say I hold something in my hand that a friend got me for Christmas, or my mother got me for my birthday, because they know it means something to me. And I feel like with digital, you don't get that, because digital, it's non-physical. You can't hold it. And it's not the same, let's say for the sake of our argument's sake, they put out the best of Dr. Dre one day, and I just hand a piece of paper to Ray and say, oh, here's the download code. It'd be like, bruh, love you, but you're such a cheap ass. It's like, just give me the damn album. Because like I say, if you actually go out and buy something physically, it says, one, you're supporting the industry, but two, it actually says, hey, you actually show thought and consideration. You went out of your way to get this from me.
Plus, if it's something like a game or a film or something, bearing in mind, if you go to a convention and one of the people involved happens to be there, you can get it signed.
Exactly. You can't do...
Which makes it even more valuable.
Because like I say, you can't get that with digital. Is I know, Samsung don't make DVDs or Blu-ray players anymore, because they're like, trying to get people to follow suit. But it's just like, when you tell people not to do something, they're going to do it all the more. It's reverse psychology. And like I say, because physical media still has a place in this world, although there are some people that are trying to bring audio cassettes back. I'm like, okay, I love old school, but audio cassettes is one of those things that's best left in the past. And of course, people are trying to bring back VHS as well. And I'm like, nah. Nah. Because VHS fades after time. Whereas with DVD, if you look after them, don't have them near a heat source, and you don't scratch the DVDs, then you're fine. Also, try not to rip DVDs, not just because of copyright reasons, but it actually warps them. Because I actually found this out when I was getting the footage for Back to the Future for its 34th anniversary. I tried watching it on DVD afterwards, and it would actually revert back to the menu screen. I'm like, oh, okay. Why people are able to still download music from CDs to, say, like iTunes with relative ease, and it doesn't affect the CD, I don't know. But with DVDs, it's a little bit of a touchy thing, and I don't ever do it with my Blu-rays because no, those cost way too much money. Which is why if I ever do anniversary specials, I always go to buy a DVD copy from Amazon because 1, support the industry, and 2, don't download from pirate sites because just no, because big no. But yeah, Iron Man will be following suit. I've had the audio improved for it, but for whatever reason, some of the lower thirds disappeared on the final render, even though they're actually in. They actually play properly in Vegas. I'm like, okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. And then I'm hoping this week Amazing Spider-Man 1 will be completed and put out. Then that won't be out till May because it's a themed month, like, Spider-May, Spider-Man, so after Iron Man, it's going to be like a 2 to 3 week absence. But I'm hoping by the time it gets to, say, April 5, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is done, and then I can just focus on the rest of the season, and then June 30, that's when the season ends. And I probably won't start work on the 20th season till probably... Realistically, I want to say end of July, provided the heat doesn't tell me you're not working this summer. I'd be like, I hate you. The only thing I probably will do if the heat gets that crazy is just put my sweat headband on, and at the very least just get writing done, because I don't need to have the windows closed to block out the outside noise for that. I can get on with that easily enough. But yeah, it's a little bit of a rush, bit of a race to the finish line, but I'm aiming to get this all done and finished by the end of May, so that by that point I can take the summer off again, because I keep repeating this, but Steve, that summer last year, it's just as well we ended that season of SKL when we did, because no one was going to be making videos during that heat unless you've got like typhoon level of air conditioning, like they kind of suggest in that one episode of Family Guy where Peter has the tank. That one where Meg goes to work for that. It's like, oh, it's not Walmart, but we're going to call it Walmart, and Raiden appears to be sleeping.
I'm still here.
Oh, it's Steve.
Yeah.
He's gone to sleep. Okay.
No, it's just I'm just been really, really stressed out at work lately, and I've just been feeling. Every time I've gotten home, I've been feeling really tired.
There you man.
And today it was just as bad, because apparently I was trying to do my best, trying to keep things running, but even then, there's like kitchen and the back of the bar got crowded up with stuff, and I feel like some people in particular are taking out on me when I'm only trying to do the best, even though I'm not in the right frame of mind to do so.
I feel yeah.
No, that feels.
Yeah. But yeah. The only thing shut up, watch. The only thing I will say for the 2 Amazing Spider-Man reviews, there will be an extended intro, only because I love 90s, Spider-Man, and the 90s Spider-Man animated theme, and
Yeah.
it just suits Spidey, and particularly with Amazing 2. This was either an extended theme of the that Joe Perry recorded, but for the way I was setting the shot up for it, I'm just like, this is too good not to use. And that, and the only extended intro will be for the one I'm using for June, but I'm keeping tight-lipped about it. The only thing I will say is that Wynn's services will be used in a few of the reviews. And that's all the information I'm going to disclose at this time. But yeah, I'm going to have a very, very busy April, provided I can actually be awake during the day, because I've gotten into this bad habit lately of not getting to bed until 10:30 in the morning, wanting to wake up for say 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then not waking up until 8. Now on one hand, yes, I'm getting necessary sleep, but when it happens on your days off, and you have that realization of like, you just wasted a day off, you know, when you could have got stuff that you wanted to get done. I mean, realistically, I should have already finished off Amazing 2. I should have, but I haven't. And because I want to get ahead of schedule, Amazing 2 might just be voiceovers only with no camera footage, only because I want to get this done, and also we don't have anything nice to say about Amazing 2 other than Andrew, Emma, and the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it. Amazing 1, it's not polished, but compared to Spider-Man 3, it's more than watchable.
And that's not saying much.
And then came Amazing 2, and we're like, what is this?
Blech.
Yeah, and I've already mentioned this before, this is no spoiler, but someone from a publication said The Amazing Spider-Man 1 was worse than Green Lantern. I'm like, pardon?
Really?
It's like, what movie were you watching? And I put in for comedic effect. After I said that, you hear the record skip, and then you just hear Andrew in the clip go, really? Now, if he had said Amazing 2 was the worst since Green Lantern, I'd say, okay, yeah, that's justified, because Amazing 2 was terrible. But the only thing I would say about Amazing 1 is it felt like the first movie again. Other than that, you know, Amazing 1 is like, it's not really anything new, but it's a little bit darker than the previous generation. And you know, I will say this for years on end, Tobey Maguire, perfect Peter Parker. Andrew, he nailed it as Spider-Man, because I always felt with Tobey, he only seemed to crack jokes maybe once or twice in a movie, and then it's, you know, all the quiet stuff. Whereas with Andrew as Spidey, you couldn't shut him up. But yeah. Like I say, I wasn't going to use the Man of Steel retrospective, but after reading about Lance Reddick and then Sam Neill's diagnosis, like, nah man, we need a palate cleanser, like, bad. Yeah. And the only reason Man of Steel comes out tomorrow is because if we'd have gone 2 weeks from now, it would have been building up to Easter week, and I'm like, do you really want to have Superman so close to Easter? Like, do you? And I'm like, yeah, maybe not.
With all those comparisons in the later movies.
Yeah, that's why.
Probably not.
That's why I didn't even bring that up. in this movie, even though it was practically screaming. And I'm just like, no, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot flagpole. Just no, 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 and a side order of no. I didn't even bring it up during the retrospective for Superman. It's just like, no. You know, I'm a Christian, folks. Not the most devotee Christian, but even I look at that and go, no, I'm not comfortable doing that. It's just, no, absolutely not. Again, not to get religious, but there's just some places, you just don't go to. If other people want to do that, that's on them. But I remember very vividly in 2013 when I was watching the behind the scenes in the making of Man of Steel, David Goyer said, and I quote, Superman is like the Christ and the Moses. And I'm like, dude, I'm not touching that. No. No. I was Random was with me at the time, and we were tugging on our shirt collars, Simpsons style. I was like, no, do not want. Again, there's just some places you just don't go to. And I remember very vividly when I was doing the writing, and I even asked this question on Facebook, and even a work colleague of mine said, while I liked the Christopher Reeve portrayal and respect, that comparison, no, not cool. Again, I just wouldn't go there, and I never will. Although I did notice in Batman v Superman at the end, after Supes died at the end, you do see a cross in the background. I'm like, Zach, I wouldn't have put that there. I wouldn't.
Yeah, his obsession with superheroes, comparing them to gods, was just weird as hell to me.
How do I word this? I think it's one thing to be inspired by religious figures like that to do good things, but to make that comparison, like, don't go there. And it was really awkward. This is why I didn't feature this in the review either, where he's confessing his story to the reverend in the church, and there's this mural of Jesus behind him. Like, this is making me very uncomfortable. I mean, I understand what he was going for, but even watching it in the theater with Random at the time, we're like look at each other like, really? They're going there with this? And I don't think Nostalgia Critic needed to go where he went with it. And I've said this till I'm blue in the face. Did you really need to make a review nearly an hour long just to talk about that movie? I mean,
you get one thing. It's Doug.
Here's the thing. Had it been an hour-long video, say, talking about 3 or 4 movies, then I'd say, okay, that's justifiable. But one movie, no, that's too long, man. Probably at some stage I will get to Batman v Superman. Oh, good lord, that's gonna be fun going through the clips for that one just to get through those. And we're not even talking about the director's cut either, because that was 3 hours long. And I feel like that's a thing that they need to find now with some superhero movies. You don't need to make a movie that's 3 hours long. I mean, with Endgame, it was okay because it didn't feel like 3 hours. It felt like it was just like a 2-hour movie because of the pacing, but I don't know. I just feel like if you can find a balance where it's, say, like Batman Begins, where it was just over 2 hours, then it's fine. because you can compress in some areas and then decompress in others because it gives the audience a chance to breathe. But Dawn of Justice went on for far too long, even with the theatrical cut. And we couldn't believe when we saw this on Easter Sunday in the UK when it aired, when it was released, that we like looked at each other like, the origin again? And when he saw Joker and they saw they were referencing the origin, he's like, oh no, they're not. Like,
Yep.
And even Matt Reeves addressed why they didn't do the origin in the Batman. He says, like, we don't need to. Everyone knows Batman's origin story. It feels more befitting to just say have him in year 2. You know, where you see that he's still developing, but you're not having to build him up to be Batman. You know, he's still, you know, doing as he does. That'll be fun if I ever get to that. Because that's another movie that ran long, but also did it the right way. You know, got the pacing down. Plus, we know that series is not being rebooted because, you know, Warner Brothers have confidence in what Matt Reeves is doing. But that's just because he's just a damn good director. Whew. Alright. Unless anybody's got something to add in, I think we'll call it a day for tonight.
Wait, did we do our thoughts about Man of Steel?
I think we did.
Yeah, I think you kind of did. You just said good review.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Why, did you want to add something, Steve?
It's just that didn't really feel much for Man of Steel when it initially came out. I think looking back on it now and your review, it just shows how they were trying to go in a different direction with superhero films.
Yeah.
Especially with DC, where DC was concerned.
Well, I felt it was sensible that if, you know, Warner Brothers was going to do what Marvel had been doing for 5 years by that point, that, you know, they were trying to establish their own universe. Like, why not start it with Superman first? And of course, you see the Wayne Enterprises tower satellite in the final fight. It's like, oh, we're going to, you know, Batman exists in this universe. Whereas in the Dark Knight trilogy, Gotham, you know, Metropolis is never mentioned. It's just Batman in that universe. Whereas in Superman Returns, they do name drop Gotham by name, but they never really go anywhere with it. And Brandon Routh said, you know, he was more than happy to work with Christian Bale if they ever did do a Justice League team up, but never came to be. I think you probably could have made it work, but considering Man of Steel is way more fantasy than the Dark Knight trilogy, because Dark Knight trilogy is very grounded in reality. But I don't know. It's like I say, the only thing I would have changed with regards to Man of Steel is have it more linear and just go beginning, middle, end, not get to Earth, flash to the future, flashback, go to the present, flashback, go to the present, another flashback, continue the rest. That got irritating after a while. That's the only thing I have constructive criticism for. Then, of course, the slow-mo moment with Soups punching Zod is just like, really, Snyder, you couldn't go one movie without doing this? At least he didn't reference 300 for the umpteenth time. I'll give the man that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I think we'll, like I say, end it there. Who shall we go raid? Do we want to raid Manders? I'm not going to raid the Fox and Kin because she's just doing on a replay, and also her ASMR videos, she tends to make noises that is not safe for work. We will go no further than that. Why she was even on my list, I don't know, but we'll stick with the Little Lemon Bun because, well, she's basically English Win. Very sweet, very snarky, but very sweet. Just as a reminder, we are back again, as per norm, for Sonic Tuesdays and Jurassic Wednesdays at 10:30 UK, 5:30 Eastern, and 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we're back again next Sunday for Sunday Night Live, 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget to go and follow and subscribe to Kitsune Rakaku at twitch.tv/Kitsune Rakaku. And go and follow and subscribe to Oni at twitch.tv/Oni Rakaku. And when you go, put in as a cheer for 5 bits, I provide you with cheesy poofs. He hears this later and he's like, hate you.
God damn it, MJ.
One of these days I'm going to go into Raiden's kind of knows what I'm going to do. One of these days I'm going to go into a stream with a little Discord add-on, and I'll be talking normally, but all you hear, oh, hello there, Ernie. I see you're doing this wonderful stream, is it? Why do you sound like Eric Cartman?
I'm just gonna hear him cringing and demanding bits.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Oni Rakaku, and I will be auditioning for a new version of South Park. The Cartman College. The Cartman College, oh sweet Lord above.
No,
Oh no.
I doubt he'd even make college.
No. At least he could make college, but the way they keep killing Kenny off, I don't know. I'm kind of glad that, like, after a while they kind of stop with it, because it's just like, yeah, we get it. You like to kill Kenny. It's like, it's kind of old.
They keep doing it off now and then, every while.
They had the one episode where he actually made it to the end, which was the first ever Christmas episode, which, you know, it's just like, come on, it's Christmas. Let Kenny have this one. And of course, there was that time where Cartman somehow enveloped Kenny's ashes, and Kenny takes over Cartman on occasion. It's just like, okay.
Okay.
That was kind of weird. Alrighty. Go on.
Well, it's South Park. What else would you expect?
At this point, nothing. Okay. I've been MJ Knight, saying good night from the night.
Take care, everybody.
See you later.
Let's go raid the Little Lemon Bun. 3 viewers are ready to go. Okay. Alright, go say hi to the Little Lemon Bun. Give her lots of love and support from the MJ Knight family. Give her a follow, and purely as a suggestion, give her a sub. So, till Tuesday, we're out.